This week on Unglossy.
We had Mac Wilds,
Mac Wilds, yep.
Legendary. You know what I mean? From The Wire to 90210, Red Tails. The list goes on. So in my mind, we had an all-star cast. I think we had one of the greatest ensembles ever assembled on Broadway.
From the top.
Yeah.
I'm Tom Frank.
I'm Mickey Fax.
And I'm Jeffrey Sledge.
Welcome to Unglossy, decoding brand and culture. I'm Tom Frank, partner and chief creative officer at Merit Creative. This is Mickey Fax, hip-hop artist and founder and CEO of Pendulum Inc. And that is Jeffrey Sledge, a seasoned music industry veteran who has worked with some of the biggest artists in the business. We're here to explore the moments of vulnerability, pivotal decisions, and creative sparks that fuel the relationship between brand and culture. Get ready for a thought-provoking journey into the heart and soul of branding, the unscripted, unfiltered, and truly unglossy truth. Meghan Markle now has a show that is talking about homemaking.
Yes. You don't know about this?
I don't know about this.
Yeah, she cooks on there and, she has a garden and all that, just like Martha Stewart, but that's bigger. Yeah, it's huge.
Bigger than Martha Stewart?
Bigger. It's huge. Pause.
So that's when I saw the plant in the back, it reminded me of Martha Stewart's segment called It's a Good Thing.
Okay.
And she would go, across the country, I guess, finding out things that work well for your home. My mom would watch it every, morning on Sundays.
Your mom's probably watching Meghan Markle shit. That show was
Meghan Markle. I still think of her as the lawyer on.
Nah, she's way past that shit. That's over.
Well, I'm just watching it right now. I'm finally watching this show. What's it called again?
Suits.
I'm blanking on
Suits. Yeah.
Suits is a good show.
Mm-hmm. Nah, Megan's lit.
I've never seen Suits. I've been watching Daredevil.
How was that?
Daredevil.
It's on Netflix.
How was it?
Well, it's on Disney Plus actually. A lot of cursing.
You mean the actual series, not the movie?
The series, yes.
Yeah, I've never seen the series.
Series is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Tom would like it. Did you watch Invincible? It's the first season I did. I got to get into the second and third season mainly because it's just me watching it alone. My wife does not want to.
Yeah, it's violent. It's dope though. It was mad.
It's violent.
It's a cartoon violence.
Oh, a cartoon.
Mad violent though,
but it's ridiculous violence.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want all that violence in my life.
It's like Mortal Kombat, but like superheroes.
Yeah. Ripping spines. That's the best way to explain all that type of shit. Ripping hearts out. Yeah, all that.
Yeah, brains blowing up,
blood, everything. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Is it very theatric?
Yeah.
Yeah, it actually is. It's theatric. Yeah.
Which leads me into this week's guest, which unfortunately, Mickey, you were not here. You're out heavily promoting your new project, The Dean's List, Volume 1.
Volume 1.
Tell us about that.
A couple of the graduates at Pendulum Inc., we put a whole project together, Wu-Tang style, kind of curated the entire thing. And, a lot of MCs and producers send me beats. So, I use those beats to put this project out. And everybody's happy about it. It did pretty well on the charts. So I'm excited about it.
Now, is this an album or a mixtape?
So because of how quickly we did it, it was really a mixtape. Not a lot of choruses on here, maybe about 5 or 6. But we did it so quickly. We do have an album in production. I'm just waiting on some big celebrity features to send in their verses, and then we're going to put that one out.
What is that? Is that Volume 2?
No, it's called something completely different.
So this is just
we have that to look forward to.
This one's just bars, people just spitting.
This is it's some concept stuff, but mostly it's bars,
okay,
just to get people involved. But so talk to me about the podcast episode that I missed.
That you missed. Well, I'll tell you what, you would have enjoyed this guest knowledge of poetry, hip hop, and certainly comics.
He started as a slam poet.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. He was big in that world. He was looking forward to meeting you. He's a guy I actually met through Saint.
Really?
Yeah.
Saint came up in this conversation.
Yep.
You came up in this conversation. He was a big fan.
Yeah.
Couldn't wait to meet you.
I feel bad. Again, we were scheduled for a specific time, and then that time got moved at the last minute, and I was already in the thralls of something else.
The thralls.
Yes.
Hey, yo.
But I feel bad now. This guy's he was somebody who, I don't want to say he was a fan. He was a supporter.
Yeah, he was a supporter. Yeah, he was
He was a
supporter.
supporter. I'm a fan of
supporter
his
you.
now. I can tell you that
Yeah.
after listening to him.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I think you become a fan of everybody that we bring up.
You know what? Why not?
You're right.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not love
It's
everyone?
nothing wrong. It's
Why
nothing
not?
wrong with that.
Why not?
In my
Why
opinion,
not?
it's nothing wrong with that.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah,
Nothing
man.
wrong with that. So what else did you guys talk about?
We talked about, his career. He talked about, because he wrote this he wrote this play called "Thoughts of a Colored Man." Was on Broadway. It's a big play,
Really?
but it got cut short because of COVID. They had a 3-month run, and then Broadway shut down. But they were getting a massive buzz. They had a big artist, Angela Bassett, and people like that came to the play. Mary.
Wow.
It was bubbling. It was going crazy, and I actually went. I found out later, because I didn't realize, that I actually went to college with his dad.
Really?
Yeah,
It was a wild
So
episode.
he connected us and stuff, and we talked about that. And yeah.
Can we bring him back?
Well, I'll tell you, anybody who listens to this thing, if you don't get anything out of it, do so for the conversation about Broadway.
Oh,
I found it immensely informative.
Yeah, how Broadway works.
Broadway actually works.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to tell you, Mickey. You got to listen to the episode to thoroughly understand it.
Absolutely.
So right before, it's interesting, and I know we're going to get right into this. I know the people are excited about this. Right before the pandemic, Lupe and I were working on a Broadway play together.
Really?
What happened?
The pandemic.
But I mean, you could have finished it. You could have continued it on.
I wish, but they just kind of dissolved the whole thing. Like, we were working at the Armory. Do you know where the Armory is, Jeff?
Which
I
one?
think it's like on Park Avenue and like 77th.
I don't know that Armory. I know the ones up in I know the Armory in Harlem and the one in Washington Heights. I don't know the other one. That one is.
Yeah, we were at the Armory, and we were there with like two huge Broadway screenwriters.
Okay.
And we were putting together this. It was like this apartment building, and every floor represented a different person. They had their own floor, and every person had their own style. So I was helping Lupe kind of put together how would this work over specific beats, and we were writing the stuff together. And then the pandemic hit. Like, I still have pictures of the stuff. I have like everything we were working on.
And this was going to be like a musical?
This was going to be a musical on Broadway. We were working on it together.
I think we got to pick this back up.
Yeah, me
I
too.
would love to pick
We
it
got
back
the
up.
connections now.
Me too. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Get it crack.
You know me, I'm in. I want to win. What do we win? What do we win for the greatest musical ever?
Tony.
A Tony?
A Tony.
Tony
Get a
Award.
Tony.
I still want a Grammy, but I'll take a Tony.
I'll take anything at this point.
Hey, yo.
Hey, yo. On
My fault.
that note, let's dive in. Playwright, poet, actor, director, and producer, the wildly talented Mr. Keenan Scott II. Unglossy is brought to you by Merit Creative. Looking to skyrocket your business's visibility and drive growth? At Merit Creative, we solve your brand and marketing woes. With big ideas, decades of experience, and innovative solutions, we'll draw in your target audience and keep them hooked. Remember, creativity is key to success. Partner with Merit Creative and unlock your brand's potential. Learn more at meritcreative.com. And now, back to the show. Today's guest is Keenan Scott II, Queens-born playwright, poet, actor, director, and producer. His work has electrified stages from the National Black Theater to Woolly Mammoth, culminating in the Broadway run of Thoughts of a Colored Man at the Golden Theater. A 2021 TED Fellow and founder of Project Toy Entertainment, Keenan fuses childhood wonder with fresh, thoughtful-provoking storytelling across theater, TV, film, and more. We are excited to explore his remarkable journey, including his upcoming musical, The Return of Young Boy, and discover how he continues to push creative boundaries on every stage. Welcome to Unglossy, Mr. Keenan Scott.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Pleasure.
How you feeling, man?
I'm good, man. Listen, I can't complain. Just working. Down.
Rocking.
Rocking and rolling.
So before we get started, fun fact.
I
went to college, Morgan State University, with Keenan's father.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say with Keenan, and I was going to be like, damn, Keenan looks a lot younger than you, Jeffrey.
No, with Keenan's father.
Keenan Senior.
Yeah,
Keenan Senior.
And we were in school, we were pretty close, hanging out, we'd be drinking, talking shit, college shit,
Yeah.
Yeah, Keenan was my guy, man. Sadly, he passed away fairly recently, but I had lost touch with him over the years, and then I met Keenan II via Saint, who you've heard
Oh
about,
yeah.
Wiki,
Yes.
and I'll tell that story. But I didn't know the connection. I just met this dude named Keenan who wrote a play that was about to open on Broadway. I was like, oh, bet. He offered me tickets. The girl I was dating at the time, I was like, bet, hell yeah, I'm going to go. I had no idea. And then I don't even remember how I found out, but it was much, much later. It was like after I went to the play and everything.
You didn't notice that the name was exactly the same?
I just didn't, it's New York. A lot of people got the same name.
That's true.
And then I was like, wait a minute, what? And, oh, no, I sort of was. I have a Morgan State group chat. And somebody in the group chat said, yo, Keenan's son's doing a play. And I was like, wait, what's the play called? And it was like Thoughts of a Color Man. I was like, well, I saw that. I was like, that's Keenan's son? So I reached out to Keenan II, and I was like, dude, I went to college with your father. Fortunately, because like I said, sadly, he passed away not long ago. But fortunately, Keenan II put us in touch.
Oh, so you got to get back out, reach out back out to him.
Yeah, I got to talk to him and catch up. We had a long conversation, man. It was a
blessing that was.
It was absolutely a blessing. It was absolutely a blessing. And then I have a relationship with his son, who I'm very proud of and happy for. But I'm really glad that I got to talk to Keenan Sr. because we had this. It was no beef. We just college. You just go this way, that way. You just kind of lose touch. And I was, so we got to catch up, and I was really appreciative that we had like a 2-hour conversation. We talked for a long time, man.
Good, yeah.
So
man,
I just wanted to say that.
Supposed to happen that way, then,
It was. Yeah, so I had went to the studio. Saint told me to come to the studio. He was working with A$AP Ferg at the time, and he said, "Come to."
Invited me to the studio session.
Exactly, but we didn't know we were going to be there. We was all in the studio, but we kind of talked, and it was like, "This is my man's writing to play." But Saint knows everybody. So I'm like, go. But then he was like, yeah, it's just opening up. I called him. He's like, yeah, I got you 2 tickets, man. Come on down. Yeah. And first of all, the play was phenomenal, which we get into. And it was like, it's a big deal. Like it was on Broadway.
That is a very big deal.
Like it was backed by some really big producers. Yeah. Like it was a really big deal. But I'm talking too much. Let's start from the beginning.
Let's go back to Queens. Yeah, right? Yeah. You're from Queens. How does a guy from Queens, where's the passion for storytelling? Where did that start?
It's definitely been a journey. So, born and raised in Queens, my family's from South Jamaica. I grew up, went to school in Flushing. So, that was like the origin of it all, right? My first love in life is visual arts. I wanted to go up and do like animation, and I wanted to draw comic books, and that's what I wanted to do. That was like my lifelong dream, right? So then eventually, after my parents separated, we ended up moving down to Maryland, outside of DC.
We're at Maryland now. I'm in Maryland right now.
Waldorf.
Oh, not far. I'm in Annapolis right now.
Okay, yeah, I'm very familiar. Yeah. So you close to Bowie, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Real close to Bowie, yeah.
So by high school age, I'm down in Maryland, heavy in sports, you know what I mean? Playing football, basketball, took basketball very serious, wasn't a performer, didn't consider myself a performer. And I started getting into poetry, just to myself, you know what I mean? Something, journaling, kept it to myself. Big love of hip hop, big hip hop head. My father originally being from the South Bronx, so having it being handed to me in that way. So
that's right. He was from the Bronx. That's right.
Yeah. East Tremont. So I took that very serious. You know what I mean? So honestly, it kind of came to me in an odd way at the time. I'm 15 years old. My older sister, she's 18, so she got a boyfriend that's into poetry, and he's scared to go to DC by himself and go to the open mics. So he would see me writing around the crib. You know what I mean? And he was like, hey, would you want to go to the club with me? I want to do this open mic thing. And honestly, I just wanted to hang out. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, my sister's older. She's out of the house now. I'm going to hang out in DC, and that was my first time on stage. And I fucked up on stage. I forgot my poem. In front of a crowd, 200 people. And I was like, yo, I'm never doing this shit again. Never. never doing this again. But, me being a ball player, me being super competitive, I'm like, you know what? Let me go back one more time. Let me redeem myself. And then I'll be good. Then I'll lay it to rest. And I'll never forget the feeling of going back and redeeming myself. I had studied for several months. I was like, all right, I got to get better. Started picking up some more literature. That's around the time I discovered like Nikki Giovanni, Langston Hughes. And this is at the same time that it was like still black market at the time, but I had got my hands on Smack DVD at the time. So that was new when I was in high school. So that was like, and that's when I first came across Murder Mook. Me and him about like a year apart,
Okay.
pretty much the same age. And I'm like, yo, who is this young kid battling at this level I've never seen, never heard, in the projects in New York, I'm familiar. And I'm like, yo, that's dope. So I studied it. I studied that. Same time, new show, Def Poetry Jam is new at the time. Now I go out to my VHS store, right? And I get the tapes and now I'm studying. So I'm studying underground battle rap and, the guys from Jersey, the city, Philly guys. I'm studying Def Poetry Jam. So now when I go back to the club, now I kill it. I go back
Now
to a
you
small-
ready.
So
Now you
wait a
ready.
minute, how long of a time between when you messed up until you went back and killed it?
So I was 15. It was the fall. So my birthday is actually March. So I probably went away for about five to 6 months and just went
So you got serious about this.
to work. Yeah. And so by the time I went back, I had just turned 16, and they went crazy. And I never forget the response to that. And then everybody was so surprised at how young I was.
Yeah.
So I was sneaking into these clubs. I wasn't even supposed to be in these clubs that I was competing in. And I never forget, no facial hair, baby face, the whole nine. They're like, yo, where'd you? I sound different because I'm coming from New York and now I'm in DC. So now it's like, where did you come from? How are you doing this? And I never forget that feeling. And then I started going back, and that's when I fell into the underground poetry, slam poetry scene in DC.
Wow. So how do you go from the underground poetry to a Broadway show? I mean, we're not talking, that's huge.
Tell me about it. It's the Trump cake, the journey, so now I'm competing for several years, right? So now anywhere that let me in, so now I created a name for myself in DC. So now it's like, oh, let the young kid
you
in.
popping now. You popping.
Yeah, so let the young kid in. I wasn't drinking or anything like that yet. So they was like, hey, stay away from the bar. We'll let you. I'm like, listen, I'm just here to compete. I wanted my little prize money of $75 at the end of the night.
Little cranberry juice.
You know what I mean? I was pressing up my CDs. I was printing out my own labels, printing out my own CDs, selling them for $5 at the end. Just doing my thing. And it kept me out the streets. You know what I mean? I didn't want to. I was like, if I'm doing this legally and this feels good, I'm going to stay here. You know what I mean? Because I knew what the streets really was. With members of my family and friends and all that, I kind of wanted to stay clear of that. You know what I mean?
So is this more of a rap thing or is it more poetry? I don't think I've ever been to one of these.
It's kind of like a combo of the two.
It's poetry, but it's the same energy. It's the same energy.
It's aggressive.
Performance poetry is different. Like, like some open mics is like people read out of a journal.
Yeah.
And the cliches, but like
that's what I'm picturing.
Slam poetry is you're judged by judges in the crowd. You're competing against people. So I might not be personally talking about you, but I'm trying to outperform you.
Got it.
So since it's competitive, it has that energy. It's very similar. A lot of battle MCs are actual poets as well. So people go between the two. So I do both as well. But when I was competing, I was doing slam poetry. So I did that for several years. Now it's time for college, and I didn't want to go because that time I just told my mother like, yo, I'm trying to move back to New York. I'm trying to audition and become Denzel like in 2 weeks. I'm good, right? That quite didn't happen, and I never forget I moved, I came back to New York over that summer. My father drove me around to all the auditions, and I didn't make it into any schools. I fell on my face. Schools was like, you too green, go away, get some acting training and come back to us later, because I was going to like these big conservatories, right? So then so my mother's like, you're not staying home, you're not working, you getting out the house. Call whatever that little school was that accepted you. You going to that school.
Call them back. Yeah.
And it was Frostburg State University.
I know Frostburg well too.
Yeah, so that's my alma mater. Had the time of my life. If you know, was definitely a big on parties.
Yes.
So I went away to school, and honestly, what kept me there was I was like, all right, cool. What will keep me in school that I won't drop out, right? Because if I did like a business major or something, I would have got bored and didn't want to continue. So I was like, cool, I'm performing heavy. I definitely want to get into TV and film acting, and kind of break into the industry that way and show them that I can write as well. So somebody was like, hey, if you want to act for TV and film, you got to do theater. So I was like, all right, cool, I'll study theater. Never thought about theater, no interest. I was like, all right, if it's going to get me better on stage, then I'll do it. So I went to school to study acting. So while I'm there, and a lot of people think because of, what I've achieved in playwriting that I never went to school for writing. I never taken a writing class before for screenwriting or playwriting or anything. And I just, put in my 10,000 hours, I would say. But as I was in school studying theater, I started getting put these plays in front of me that I just didn't relate to. I didn't see myself. I didn't see my community. It was like these great American dramas, but I'm like, where the black folk at?
Yeah. Yeah.
So honestly, to me, me coming from New York by way of Southern Maryland, I had a homie in my program that was from DC, another one was from Baltimore. And I was like, listen, I'm going to write us some monologues so we can have some stuff that we can audition with, that we don't got to change who we are. We don't got to change the way we talk. I'm going to write some stuff for us. And that small idea was the start of Thoughts of a Colored Man. I started writing when I was 19 years old, when I was an undergrad.
Now, how long did it take you from 19 to get it to the point where it was ready to be shown on Broadway? How many years did you kind of have to do many iterations?
God.
And
from that, many,
I'm
literally.
sure.
From that point to inception to Broadway was actually like 17 years.
Wow.
In between 17 years. In between that time, I produced it on my campus 2 years later. So at 2021, as my senior project, I was like, hey, can I do this play I've been writing? The theater department was like, cool, you can have the black box for a couple of days. And this is the point that honestly changed my career. I really, at the time I thought it was ready. A lot had changed, but the first incarnation, it was 2 years I had been working on it. Only my college roommates knew about it. You know what I mean? And they gave me the theater, and I had no resources. They was like, yeah, we'll give you the theater. This wasn't in the budget. We're doing our own thing, whatever. So, and I didn't have enough black men in my department to do to play all the characters. Because at any given time in my theater program, there might have been 3 black men, including myself. So, so that's when I started putting on hats out of necessity. Like, all right, cool. Now I gotta enlist my friends in the cast, right? So now I'm an acting coach. All right, cool. I need to promote it. All right, how do I get money? Let me go to all the student organizations. Let me go to the Divine Nine. I did shows for all of them. I opened up for all of them. Now it's time for, let's see if they got a little money for me. So I started raising money on campus. I raised it like maybe $900 at the time. But now, not knowing at the time, but now I'm producing because now I'm raising money.
Without even realizing it.
So I'm wearing all of these hats out of necessity. There's nobody to, bring my vision to life. So now I turn into a director. That was my first time really directing. So all of these things kind of happened. And then once that, at the time, I was very much so studying the works of David E. Talbot and Tyler Perry.
Sidebar, David Talbot went to Morgan with us.
Morgan with y'all as well, correct. I found that out.
He was a friend of ours. He was a friend of ours on the yard.
Small world here.
Small world,
Who knew it all started at Morgan State?
It did.
It's a lot. It's a lot of greatness there. So I'm studying those guys. I'm like, all right, cool. Maybe I can do what they did, right? Maybe I can start in theater, kind of like, raise the funds and then kind of, so I can own all of my own work. So really that's how I started. So at the time, I really wasn't thinking Broadway. I was thinking, I'm trying to do what Tyler did. I'm trying to get my own money up, and I'm trying to go get joint ventures, kind of like what he did with Lionsgate. So that's really the path I was following. So after college, I was just renting out theaters and producing my own work independently. I would sell out shows. I would flip the money into my next show. I would borrow money from family, friends, turn them into investors. Sell credit cards, and I did that for many, many years. So now at this time, I'm back in New York, and really the word starts catching on that I'm doing these little shows, right? Because to them it was like, you're really not doing it at any, notable theaters. And so my name
doing like in the community rooms and like,
right, whatever, churches,
church basements, whatever.
Name it. I was
my
there,
backyard,
right? Everything, So that's what kind of, so in between that, while, I'm an educator, so I was teaching, I was substituting, name a job, I did it, retail, the whole 9 in those 17 years, then I would say around 2017, my name started catching on in the city from all the work I was doing, started snowballing, linked up with, a producer. We set forth a plan like, hey, we think we can get this to Broadway finally. And Finally, went out of town, went to Baltimore, went to Syracuse, kind of launched that like an out of town tryout. We got the verbal commitment from Broadway that we'll get a theater and we'll be able to premiere in 2020.
So who actually does that? Who says you're going to be on Broadway? Is it a group, or how does that work?
Well, the Broadway theaters are owned by 3 different families.
Okay.
So essentially, they operate like landlords.
What are the 3 families?
The Schuberts,
Okay.
the Nederlanders, and the Jujansons.
Okay.
So
they got it on Smash.
Say that again.
They got it on Smash. You can't. You got to go through one of them.
One of them controls all of Broadway.
Correct. So if you ever look on your ticket stub, if you ever look at your program, you'll see Nederlanders, you'll see Schuberts, you'll see their logo. So, of course they have teams and foundations and all those things. So they're the ones that say yay and nay to you pretty much, because essentially people don't see it like this, but you're renting that Broadway house. You're just renting it for a whole lot of money. You know what I mean? So it's
when you say renting it, like break that down. What does that mean?
Yeah.
When you say you're renting like a house.
So essentially, right, so I want to say there's about 41 Broadway theaters. Of course, some of them are not changing their shows out. Lion King's not going away, Hamilton, The Wickeds, Moulin Rouge.
They just stay constant.
Yeah, because the thing is, unlike regional theater outside of New York, there's a schedule. Hey, your play can only run for 5 weeks. That's it. The next one's coming in. We have a season of 6. But Broadway, once again, you're a tenant. So if my tenant is still getting money, i.e. Lion King, Wicked, you're not going anywhere. It stays. And then other plays rotate. Some plays come for a limited engagement, like Denzel right now. Denzel's only going to be there for 12 weeks. That's
with
it.
the Othello joint.
Yeah, with Othello. That's limited. We know Denzel's not going to be on Broadway for 5 years consecutively, right?
Yeah.
He's going to do his time. So it's like a rotating schedule. So essentially, everybody's vying for those spots. So it's like, essentially, you have to look at it like, what tenant is going to yield me the most back? Mm-hmm. So, I can get a theater, right? But let's just say, for example, Beyonce says she wants to come to Broadway tomorrow. Who's going to get that spot?
You out.
You are gone.
Well, so that's what makes it so hard. So that's what I mean. So normally, essentially, high levels of finance, but essentially you're renting the Broadway house.
So are you physically renting it though? Or what's the, if you don't mind me asking, like, what is the breakdown? How does that work? Like, are you paying to be in there, or are they taking a chance on you and you guys are splitting the profit? Or how does that all work?
No, you have to pay, just like rent. You have
So
to
you
pay.
Physically are paying rent. Okay.
And then of course everybody's deals are different, but out of a pie, everybody's split goes where it does after that.
Oh, okay.
So pretty much,
I didn't know this.
I didn't know any of this. Yeah.
Yeah. So parts of the pie, of course, go back to running costs. It goes back to the theater because it got to keep the lights on.
Okay.
And the other piece of the pie goes down to the whole, producers, investors, creative team,
Actors,
and all of that. Yeah.
That's really interesting. I had no idea how it worked.
Yeah, correct. So that's why it's also, everybody's vying for a spot. That's what makes it hard. Like, everybody can have a great play. You can have great personnel. Everybody can get an A-list star in their piece, which is the name of the game. So it's really about, who has the best opportunity to do the best, for ticket sales and, of course, come award season.
So how
you didn't, for what I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't have an A-list star in the play. You had great actors in the play, but it wasn't like I said, like a Denzel or like a Sam Jackson or something like that. So how did you get this deal?
How did you get that?
How did you get the deal? What
made
them choose you to give you the theater on, give you the shot to put your play on Broadway?
Like I tell anybody, for Broadway, so many stars have to align. You know what I mean? It's your producerial team. Of course, it starts with the script, the story, the personnel, scheduling, and things of that nature. So it's not one thing per se. I think over the years, Broadway has leaned into more of like the A-list, kind of like making sure that like an A-list name is on the marquee. That doesn't always have to be the case. And I just think we had a great ensemble. We had a great story. We did great out of town. And we kind of went through the, the development that everybody has to go through. And the stars just aligned for us when they did.
Wow.
Yeah.
So was there this was obviously your first appearance on Broadway with this.
Correct. It was my Broadway debut.
So was there a learning curve? Like, what didn't you know going into it that you're like, looking back at it, you're like, you're going to do better
right now?
Everything. Okay.
No, for me, I pride myself on business. As an artist, I always knew I wanted to support myself and my family off my art. So I knew very early on that I had to have a certain level of business acumen. So for me being an independent artist, I knew that game, right? Clearly I wasn't dealing with the same budgets. I wasn't dealing with millions of dollars like Broadway is, but I knew what it was to have a team, to have a creative team, to be able to rent out theater spaces for a certain amount of time, to be able to set ticket prices at a certain price, to be able to see a profit, and all of those things I understood. That doesn't change. The numbers change, vastly change, but how to execute it really doesn't change. So really, there was a big learning curve. There was a big learning curve, learning about all the moving pieces in Broadway, how it worked, the unions, the Broadway houses, who owns them, the developmental track that a lot of these pieces go. A lot of times, to your average ticket, theater goer, you buying a ticket, you going to a show, not realizing that show had to make it had to go to the UK first to build momentum. Then it had to go to Berkeley, or it had to go to another state for a tryout to test things out. To just like anything, right? Like when TV shows have like audience tests, theaters we have to do the same thing. We have to go out of town. We have to make sure we get a good response, maybe some good reviews from out of town papers before the Times kind of stamp you when you get into the city. So all of those things you have to do before you come back into the city. So it's like a whole journey. Typically they say it's about 6 to 7 years average to get your piece to Broadway from the inception plan to get there.
It's what it reminds me of, like in my mind, like of the music business. Like you were an indie label, and you put out some records, and they started to catch a little buzz. They started to sell to the point where a major label, which is the theaters in Broadway, decided to pick you up and give you a shot and give you a venture. It's very similar. There's a lot of differences, but the process of it is the same as like a TDE just putting out kind of records, and they catch a little buzz, and all of a sudden they get Interscope gives them a deal, and all of a sudden Kendrick blows up. But it's kind of a similar kind of path.
It's similar. It's like, even if you notice, like one of the biggest names in Broadway, clearly, but Lin-Manuel Miranda, what he just did with the Warriors concept album, right? A lot of times musicals, they'll do that. That's just testing out how people are going to feel it, right? It's like,
cool, so they did the music first.
Exactly. Let's put out this whole concept album. Let's see how people respond to it. Let's work out the kinks. Let's build the fandom around it. So by the time we get it to stage, it's going to have a built-in audience of people.
People can't wait. Yeah.
They can sing along when they sit in the audience. So it's a lot of similarities to the music industry. And for me, that's how I learned it a little different, right? Like I was already studying the TV and film industry. Very early on, I actually wanted to get into the music industry first. You know what I mean? So I was already studying, had partners that had made into the industry and things of that nature. So there is some overlap when it comes down to the business and how to execute on the vision, because we all know it all comes down to the bottom line.
Always. Sidebar, Lin-Manuel Miranda was my neighbor.
I thought you were going to say he went to Morgan State as well.
No, he didn't go to Morgan. But I was his neighbor because he grew up in a neighborhood I used to live in Washington Heights area.
Washington Heights is great. I used to work up there.
Yeah.
Lynn is genius.
Lynn lived on Cabrini. He lived on Cabrini. I lived on Overlook. So every now and again I bump, just kind of see him. But he still lives up there because nobody bothers him up there. He's just a regular.
He's a regular dude up there.
He was born and raised. He's from the neighborhood.
He's born and raised. He can go to the store. He can go to the park, and nobody's tripping on him. So I heard he said he's never going to leave that area because he can live a normal life and raise his family regularly up there.
Yeah, that's kind of like Spike with Brooklyn, right? Like
same shit.
His office been in Fort Greene for what, 30 years, 30 plus years. So yeah,
he can be normal. He can go to the park. He could ain't nobody bothering him or his kids, something cool. But anyway, Tom, what were you gonna say?
I have one last question about the Broadway. So the actors, are they the same actors that you used throughout?
No. So
when you get to Broadway, is it a whole new show, a whole new batch of actors?
It depends on the situation.
Yeah.
It depends on the situation. My particular play is very unique in its journey that I was doing it independently. So in the 17 years I was doing it, 100 actors have come through the piece.
Yeah.
But depending on the situation, depending on the business and who your personnel and your creative team is, the closer you get to Broadway, the closer you get to the actual team you have. A little bit of overlap from my regional runs, which is commercial. So not to count all my independent stuff, because that was just me on my independent grind. But to count my actual Broadway journey, which we was at commercial theaters, I would say, there was a little bit of overlap of some people that we brought from when we was out of New York that we brought into Broadway. But I would say the cast was about 70% new once we got to Broadway. Two two guys came along, and really it just comes down to schedules.
Yeah.
I was blessed. I think a lot of times it's unfortunate that black actors and creatives are viewed differently. My cast was filled with guys that were on #1 TV shows. You know what I mean? Luke James is 3 times Grammy nominated. We had Da Vinci, which we premiered the same month that BMF did. You know what I mean? #1 TV show. We had Mac Wilds.
Mac Wilds, yep.
Legendary. You know what I mean? From The Wire to 90210, Red Tails. The list goes on. So in my mind, we had an all-star cast. I think we had one of the greatest ensembles ever assembled on Broadway, if you was to ask me. But it was schedules. We talked to a lot of different people who ended up in a room, was supposed to, because between me and my director, what was very important for us was we knew we had the opportunity to get a great array of talent, right? It's Broadway. That's a lot of other people's dreams just as well as it was mine, right? So the talent was going to be there. We really just wanted good spirited human beings that was going to leave their ego at the door, because Thoughts of a Color Man was a type of piece where it's not star driven. It's ensemble. Everybody's equal. Everybody almost has the same amount of time on stage. So we needed guys that understood that mission. And if we all came together for that belief that we was going to do great.
How long did it run on Broadway?
It ran for 3 months. Unfortunately, we got hit with COVID.
You were right before COVID.
So we had to shut down. Honestly, out of all the new plays on Broadway, we was the highest grossing when we had to shut down. We was doing tremendous. So our run was supposed to be 6 months. We ended up running for 3. When the Omicron variant had came out, it had wiped through the cast. I actually stepped in cast. I actually was on stage one night, which was great, to be able to be up there with the guys before we shut down. So I was able to step on stage with them.
That's cool.
So actually, my Broadway acting debut as well.
And we'll be right back.
Master the art of lyricism with Pendulum Mink, the first school for rap. Learn elite techniques through immersive lessons, real-world exercises, and guidance from hip-hop icons. This is where MCs sharpen their skills and glow boldly on the mic. Ready to level up? Visit pendulummink.com and start your journey today.
And now, back to the show.
I got COVID when I went to the play.
See, yeah, it was crazy. It was very hard. It was a tough time in Broadway.
Yeah, it was a tough time because it was like prime time COVID.
Yeah.
I was in the audience coughing, trying to cover my mouth. People were looking at me funny.
You were that guy.
Yeah, I was that guy. I was like,
the reason,
Yeah, but the play was phenomenal. Like,
no, thank you.
Lying down the street, like all the top critics would come in, like Oprah and them would come in. Like it was a monstrous. It was crazy.
A lot of man. Listen, the list goes on. It blew my mind. I'm a fan of all these people. I grew up watching people that was coming to the play, which was beyond me. But yes, it will come back. Of course, I have hopes of a revival. It's been 4 years now, which I don't know where that time went, but it's been 4 years already. And the beautiful thing is, the play's in licensing now, so it's being done all around the U.S. as we speak. So
good.
Literally, a show in Memphis opens up tomorrow, so I'll be flying down there pretty soon to see that show. So we've been in multiple cities and schools and colleges since we left Broadway.
How's that feel? To you're going to go to Memphis? You don't really have a part of it per se,
Zero.
But to go there and see somebody put your vision to life, that's got to be an incredible feeling.
It's insane.
Yeah,
it's insane. You know what I mean? You don't think about licensing, right? Like we go to plays, we see things, but not realizing like. When we go to Shakespeare is done thousands and thousands of times, right? So to think that I'm in the lore of people wanting to do my work, it blows my mind. Seeing experiences that I had in Queens, in Southern Maryland, now somebody in Memphis is going to do it. You know what I mean? When I see the guys, I still remember my college roommates that were in the original cast back in 2009. You know what I mean? So I still see my friends. I see my father, I see my grandfather up there on stage. I see my uncle. It's really mind blowing because I really that just was not the intention or the thought that me from where I come from that I would ever get to Broadway. You just as a New Yorker, you don't think about that stuff. It's
not
like
at all.
Cool. I don't sing and dance. I'm probably never going to make a Lion King. Broadway's not for me, right? You don't think about that. You might get lucky as a kid to go to Broadway for a field trip or something like that. You don't think about that from the communities we come from. So just to be able to be in this space and more importantly, to be able to have created something that gives other young Black men opportunities to see themselves reflected is very important to me, because that was my goal as an undergrad when I just said to my friends, hey, I'll write you a monologue that you can do. Don't worry about it. So to see that it's kind of transcended.
What a story.
That the ethos of theater is beyond me.
To your point, like in New York, like you said, we don't, and this is a school play or something, we don't really usually do Broadway. So when a play like yours comes out, like all the Black folks come out, because it's like finally something's on Broadway for us.
Authentically
For us. So like that one when Puff did Raising the Sun, it was kind of the same. Like we went because like that's the one time that not to ruffle no feathers, but it's like we go see Cats or like you said, or one of the Death of a Salesman, right? It's almost like you in that theater feeling like an outsider, kind of like I'm here, but I know this wasn't really written for me. I know it's a great piece of art, so I'm going to watch this great piece of art, but I know nothing really is relatable to me besides the art of it in general. But when a play like yours, like Does Color Man comes out, I'm watching it like, and I'm sure everybody else who went to see it was watching like you said, oh, I know that guy.
Yeah.
Like I don't know that guy, I don't know the actor, but I know that guy.
You know
I
that
know
guy.
that person. That's like my uncle, like you said, that's like my father, that's like my brother, that's like my cousin, my college roommate, or whatever it is. So it's a whole kind of different connection. So that play coming to Broadway and doing what it did before COVID, sadly got in the way, was very important. Like I don't want to understress enough how important that play was to Black New York. It was very important for people to come out and see that. But I'll ask one more question. So was there anybody who came to see it that you got like superstar came out? Like, oh shit, they go blah, 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 blah.
Oh my God. There's a couple. So Angela Bassett, me and my wife was able to take a picture with Angela Bassett, which was crazy. Anna Wintour came. She was there opening night. And Felicia Rashad. So those are the three that was like just mind blowing. A lot of times when I see people, even if I'm a fan, I'm like, I got that energy like, hey, I want to work. Let's work, But when you got Angela Bassett sitting in the audience,
That's crazy.
It's insane.
That's crazy.
It is.
That's the thing.
So absolutely. So those are the three that come to mind. There was many others, not to, overlook anybody else. Mary J. Blige came. I listened to her since I was a kid. You know what I mean? So it's so many names, man. It really was a time, and I'm really humbled by it all. I really am.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So tell us about then Project Toys Entertainment. Is that birthed from that, or has that always been kind of your company to harness all of this?
So I've had a few companies over the years, trial and error, you start some things and, so this is my new brand. I actually started it in 2020. So around the same time. So really, I just wanted to have a space and a company that encompassed all the things that I love. Right. So outside of, theater, TV and film, my love for passion and fine art and visual art, animation. I really wanted to create kind of like a creative art studio that will soon be the hub of all the things that I love. And me, I'm very producerial in my thinking. And I love being able to put other people in positions. So, I want to have a team of directors and writers and other artists and like-minded people to be able to just create great work just to put out to the people. Sometimes I don't want to write everything. Sometimes I just want to sit back and produce and put the pieces together. Sometimes I say, hey, I want to write and act in this one. Sometimes I just want to direct. So really, I just wanted to create a brand that really just encompassed all those things. And me being a lover of so many different mediums, I'm always seeing how I can blur the lines of what I do, right? Far as many years ago, it's more commonplace now. But when I first started independently doing my work, I had a merchandise company in 2009, right? I had this idea like, it's cool to go to plays, you slap the logo on the shirt, and it's like, hey, I went to this great play. But, me thinking and loving hip hop streetwear and coming from the era of, the FUBUs and the Sean Johns and the Fat Farms and the Walker Wears and, you name it. I was like, well, what if I created clothes that, yes, it's inspired by the play, but what if you wanted to wear it outside of the, what if you just wore it just because it was a dope shirt or a dope hoodie and you might not even know it was from a play, right? So just thinking in those in that way to where, why can't I have a soundtrack for my play? Movies have soundtracks. Why can't, there might be playing the, music in the play, but why can't I come up with an EP that's inspired by the play and that can serve as a soundtrack? That might not be commonplace for theater, but I know it is in film. So I wanted to have a company that kind of like, all the hands kind of wash each other.
Yeah, it's commonplace in theater. I mean, Lynn had Hamilton. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I mean, yours wasn't a musical, but it does happen.
But you could have a soundtrack, yeah.
Absolutely. And like you said, I am working on a musical, but yeah, just seeing how I can blend all of those worlds, and really just comes back to all the things I love. And being able to create a production company where myself and others could really just fully flourish in the arts.
And how's it been going so far? So you started it in 2021, you said?
2020.
2020, yeah.
It's going great. This is the year that I kind of really like launched like with more branding. So I have my hands in. I have a couple of commercial projects that I'm producing. My new solo show that's coming, of the musical that you mentioned. I have a documentary that I'm also producing, because that's really my goal, to be able to have my production company in those credits when you see.
There you go.
I got to give you props, because I never heard the word producer. We say producerial?
Producerial, yeah.
I never heard that before.
Mindset.
So props for that. I'm gonna start using that.
You're gonna take that from him, aren't you?
I'm running with that. I'm running with that.
Now, before we get to the new musical, which I want to hear about,
yeah.
I got to ask you about the TED Fellowship, because that's kind of interesting to me. How did that come about?
Blew my mind. One of my Broadway producers, bless her heart, Diana DeMena, she nominated me for it. For those who don't know, as we all know, we've all watched the TED Talk before. Yep. I've watched many. There's hundreds of them, but they have a sector called the TED Fellows. So essentially, it's a community, kind of like a fraternity, kind of, that they've created inside of TED, where they get people that are budding or just on a cusp of doing really, really great things in their career, and kind of really have a mission to kind of change their part of the world, right? To where they give you resources. They have cohorts every year. Very, very eclectic. The most eclectic, most international thing, trust me when I tell you, I've ever been a part of. And really to provide you resources, right? Like PR. They try to connect you with other resources in your field, with other people. You're automatically connected to all the TED Fellows that came before you.
That's
right?
cool.
So there was a TED Fellow 5 years ago that was in theater. They would connect us, so to see if that we can work. And then of course, a part of that, they all allow us to do a TED Talk in our field.
So how big is that fellowship? How many active fellows are there?
Oh, I think my class brought us over, I want to say 500. Because it's been going on, I think, between 15 and 20 years. Don't get me wrong. They just actually entered the new class. The new class is very small. My cohort was around 20. It was 25 of us. So just to say, it's about 25 every year.
Okay.
In every class. So they called us the COVID cohort, because mine was 2021. But beautiful people, man. Like it's really mind blowing. That I think that's the first time I ever felt imposter syndrome. Like, why am I here?
Why?
I'm the guy that writes plays, but there's people in my class that was Times top 100 people in the world, like photojournalists. Wow. And all over the world.
All over the world, every kind of profession. Do you ever come together physically, or is it how?
We have. Yeah. Some of us. So if we travel to each other's cities or states, some of us are overseas. They might hit us up like, "Hey, I'm in town." We all were together. I went to the TED conference in 22, so a lot of us were able to meet physically there. Some of us gave out talks. Some of us gave talks in other places. Like I did mine here in New York with BCG, Boston Consulting Group. That's when I.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, so some of us do, depending on where we're at in the world, literally. We do all convene. We have an app that we stay connected in, LinkedIn groups and all those good things. So we absolutely all do talk.
That's
wow.
dope. That's super dope. That
is cool.
It's amazing. It changed my life, and it really kind of put things in perspective in the scope of what people are really doing in the world. You go to the TED conference, you hear them talk about stuff that won't even happen for the next 10 years, So it was really a mind-blowing experience, and I'm grateful to be a part of it.
Wow.
So as a TED Talk person, is it kind of almost like a fraternity kind of thing where it's like you're in it forever, or is it,
yes.
Yeah.
Yep, the resource is always there. The networking is always there. I can always reach out to, some of our point people and say, hey, I have this idea. I see such and such is doing this and that.
Great network.
Any way that we can connect, or I'll have access to their emails and all of that myself. And it's one of those things, like you said, like a fraternity, when you find out somebody's a TED fellow, it's automatically love. It's like, okay, great. How can I help you?
Wow.
So it's beautiful, and it's really people really changing the world, like creating vaccinations and just all types of stuff. Like, it's not just arts, because TED started in the tech science world, really.
Yeah.
And it kind of like spread out to education and arts and things like that. So I'm a part of TED. Might be 10-15% artists, not saying that people, they're not creative. Everybody in TED is
Everybody's creative. Yeah.
because the way they the outlook on what they do in their field. But actual like artists, I would say, as entertainment, there might be only 10-15% of us out of everybody. They're really heavy, like in the tech science world.
We got to get into this, Jeffrey. Somehow we got to get in. I don't know how. We might be too
crack,
old by this point.
Crack that code.
Yeah.
Nah, it's great. Now, listen. I met musical artists when I went to the what's her name? I know you probably know her, Jeffrey. Mariba, is that her name? Indie artist, great. She's a singer. She's a soul singer.
Okay.
But there's a lot of people I've come across, like in the music industry, and like, you'll be surprised because even if you're not a TED fellow, you can attend the conference, which I would tell anybody. Tickets are a little pricey, rightfully so, but once you're in there, the networking opportunities are out of this world. Out of this world.
Unglossy on the road. TED at the TED conference, Jeffrey.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, we got to ask about, what can you share about the upcoming musical? Tell us a little bit about it. Where are you at? Where are you at in the process?
It's beautiful. We're in development. We're about to have a 29-hour, which in theater, that's like a week-long workshop where you kind of throw things at the walls, see what sticks, see what's working, see what you need to add, take away. So we're in a developmental phase. We have some verbal commitments. It should be on stage for a full production by 2027. So like I told you, I've already been working on it since 2019. So there's a lot of projects I'm working on at the same time, but really it's a beautiful story. It's loosely based off me and my grandfather's relationship. I got the call to come home when I was 20 years old in undergrad, that my grandfather didn't have a lot of time left. So I had to come back home. And when I came back home and attended the funeral, there was a lot of family members that I hadn't seen since I was a kid. So just kind of stepping back in, kind of like that mantle passing, right? Like feeling like, grandfather gone. Okay, my father takes his spot. I take my father's spot, kind of like that aging kind of feeling. And the play is loosely, which I kind of made my own world and ethos to it in mythology, but it's based out of my projects in Queens, Promenade houses. So it's loosely based there, and I created these archetypes of characters. My character's a young boy and baby girl and big mama, and so forth. And it's really just a beautiful piece of a gumbo of just Black culture, right? You're going to hear some hip hop, you're going to hear some slam poetry, you're going to hear some R&B, you're going to hear some gospel, and I just put everything into a pot that I love, and I think it's a beautiful piece. Me and my team, we didn't necessarily get trained in musical theater, so our ear and eye for it, we're approaching it very differently. I think it sounds different from any other musical that you'll hear, because we're just really just coming from a different angle and a different lens, and I think it's going to shake up some things when it hits.
Wow, I'm excited already. I got to wait till 2027?
Yeah, listen.
It'll be there before we know it, though.
I'll let you come to some developmental stops. Usually we have some invited reads, some invited readings and things like that.
So that would be cool.
So y'all be able to see it before it comes out for sure.
That would be very cool.
Yeah.
Wait, so one moment before we go to the wrap up, how many Tony noms did you get for Thoughts of a Colored Man?
Unfortunately, we didn't get any. Get any. I do feel like we
deserve them.
But we thank you. I appreciate that. But no, we end up not getting any nominations. And I think honestly, we had a better chance if we would have had our full run.
Of course.
Yeah.
That year was very tricky with everybody needing to see it and things of that nature. And the momentum was only growing coming into the new year. So we didn't get any nominations.
Yeah, but it was, like I said, you got cut short because of COVID and so it was almost like the LeBron winning in the bubble. Like, it's a ring, but
it's like LeBron running the
name, you know what I'm saying? But they won.
It's still a ring, though.
It's still a ring, though. Yeah.
It's a ring.
Well, I got to ask you this, because you have paved a way. You said you were going to do something, and you've done it. What advice are you giving to artists that are trying to do what you've done? The generation behind you that's coming up. What advice do you give to them?
First and foremost, believe in yourself. Everything that I've ever done in a profession and in my field, the things that have gone the furthest were the things that I created. And the things that I follow my heart and my spirit with. So first and foremost, believe in yourself. And there's a level of delusion you have to think that it's all possible, right?
Yep.
But first and foremost, I would say definitely, bet on yourself and also be willing to sacrifice what the next man isn't.
That's good advice.
Well, those are the two things I would say. It comes with a lot of sacrifices, and a lot of times, unfortunately, in the arts, the two biggest sacrifices are either going to be time and money or both. So a lot of those years where I was independent way before Broadway, I was happy just to break even. Not turning over a profit, but knowing that building those blocks to get to a point where I could potentially even have an opportunity to even be on Broadway in the first place, right? It's all about that. I knew once I got in the door, my talent would keep me there, but I knew I had to get to the door first, right?
You
So
had to get in,
a lot of times that comes with a lot of time of not going out, not partying, not vacationing, and
not
things of
eating
that
out.
nature. Not even now. All of those things I've done 100 times over. So I would tell any young artist that's coming up trying to do their thing, first and foremost, believe in yourself. Art is subjective. Anything is subjective, and don't let just one no deter you. You might hear 100 no's, but really, like I tell people too, my career is a series of maybe 5 good yeses to get me here. Right? And fortunately, Broadway was one of those, right? But being used to hearing no, like lean into the no's,
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Last thing I got to ask, what gets you excited about the future of live theater?
The possibilities, tech.
Yeah.
I'm a multimedia guy, so I love seeing where theater's going, kind of like what TV and film's doing with like the LED screens and things like that. That's really cool what they're doing. And really, I'm just here to champion new voices. Please let the stage reflect our true world, right? And not just a sector of it. So I'm excited about a lot of the new voices, and hopefully I was able to push the needle a little bit with my work and showing unconventional ways of storytelling, right? There's many different ways to tell story. Like in my style, I fuse, my love of slam poetry because that's what I do best, right? So I'm excited about all the new different styles of storytelling coming from these new voices that's coming up behind me.
I like it. I think your dad would be quite proud.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And now I got to figure out this slam poetry thing, Jeffrey.
I mean, you can go on YouTube.
I think I got some in me here.
Go to
Chill,
YouTube.
Tom, chill.
I'll tell you two of my favorites that I've always studied. Legendary Lemon Anderson from Brooklyn.
Okay.
Black Ice, he's from Philly. And two of my personal friends, which are going to be in The Return of Young Boy. My musical is Roya Marsh and Stephen Willis. Brilliant. Once you see that, you'll understand what slam poetry is.
I'll understand it all right then and there.
Those four.
Cool.
Well, man, thank you, Keenan. I mean, I got in 1 hour, I feel like you've educated me tremendously on just the workings of Broadway. I had no idea. I had no idea.
Absolutely.
And I wish you the best of luck. I can't wait for now the return of Young Boy.
It's amazing. Trust me when I tell y'all going to be on the list for any invited reading or anything I might do in New York where you can see it early. Y'all there.
Yes, I want to be there. I want to be there.
I'm with it. Let me get my fit together and get a cut.
Absolutely.
Outstanding. Everybody, that is Keenan Scott. And wait for his next big project coming. All right, folks. That's our show. Tune in to Unglossy, Decoding Brand and Culture on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. And follow us on Instagram at UnglossyPod to join the conversation. Until next time, I'm Tom Frank.
I'm Jeffrey Sledge.
Smicky! That was good.